naivety, expat naivety, or should I say, immigrant, maybe. Well, one immigrant living in the EU, or at least he was, he says, I could hear my wife crying. He's a British carpenter, and he was barred, he was, from his adopted home country after Brexit. His wife was there on the other side and crying. Well, he's a 64-year-old carpenter who spent the past 20 years living in the EU, said he felt panic and despair when he was barred from re-entering Sweden after a trip to England. She's been living in the EU, and he met his wife, you see, and been living with her since 2018 in Sweden. And he says there he didn't understand, you see, that he had to get his residence. No, his Mark Collison and his Swedish wife were apart for 2 months after he was banned from returning to Sweden, where he had, well, been living for 4 years with his wife. I don't understand how you wouldn't know what you got to do. It's just, it'd be everywhere. No. He's a British citizen. He says he spent around £7,000 on a flight to be reunited with his Swedish wife after the authorities banned him from re-entering post-Brexit. You know why? He was an overstayer. I'm not saying he voted for Brexit or anything like that. We don't know. But this naivety, this almost entitlement, the thing that I'm all right, Jack. Maybe it's because I'm British. With his Swedish wife, after authorities, they banned him, they did, from re-entering post-Brexit and told him to return to the UK despite having no home there. I do feel sorry for the geezer, obviously, but it's just, it's ignorance, isn't it? It's ignorance. You have to, you know, dot the I's and cross the T's. Mark Collison moved to Sweden with his wife back in 2018. At the time, 64-year-old Carpenter says he was told by tax and immigration authorities that he did not have to worry about applying to change his residence status before Brexit took effect. That's bollocks. I don't believe that. He's making that up. They're not going to tell him that. Of course you've got to change your flipping status. You're a third country like any other third country. You got your 90 and maybe 180 days, but you can't live there. No. He says here, as far as I was concerned, I hadn't even thought about looking. I thought 100% that it was all, you know, I was legally in Sweden. Full time, he says. Yeah. The carpenter who had already spent 15 years in France. Yeah. See, 15 years and he moved to Sweden. This is nuts. He knew. He must have known. He just didn't bother doing it. Or didn't bother to look. I don't believe people in authority would tell you that. And a lawyer especially not. That's just ridiculous. Sue him! Oh, crikey. So in 2022, when he and his wife, Asa, I don't know, were returning from a visit to see his daughter and grandchildren on the Isle of Man, he says he was barred from entering Sweden and told he would not be able to travel to any Schengen area for 3 years because he's been stamped as an overstayer. On his way to the UK, he says the border police had warned him he could encounter issues on his way back as he hadn't applied for a change of residence status. And it was a requirement after the UK quit the EU. The next day, Mr. Collison contacted the immigration office and was told to put a late application in. After this, he says he received an email saying that he had freedom of movement in the EU pending review of his application. But it was too late. When he landed back in Sweden, he realised the border control had, unbeknown to him, already stamped his passport away and banned him for, yeah, he's overstayed, he banned him for 3 years. All he had to do is sort out his paperwork before the end of the transition period, or before the deadline. That's all he had to do. Like we had to do, you know, and anyone else. Do I feel sorry for him? Well, I suppose I do, you know. It's pretty tragic for him, isn't it? Quite traumatic, and his wife, obviously, and the family. It's awful. Well, it just proves the point, though, doesn't it? You know, that, you know, he's obviously learned a hard lesson. But 64 years old, he should know better, shouldn't he? I think so. Some people never learn, you see. They don't. And you tell me, do people ever learn? Not in my experience, no. You tell me, leave in the comments down below. And do you feel sorry for this geezer? Maybe. Leave that in the comments down below. But if you've got a sport channel, do that on Patreon or buy us a copy, and links are down below. But also, just, if you can't do that, just boot the old like button. Helps the channel, you know. Oh, it's time for me to go to the tough hour, you know. Have a lovely day.